The Solitary Path to Freedom, a journey of self-discovery and authentic living. In the ceaseless hum of modern existence, where digital screens flicker with endless distractions and societal pressures weigh heavy, we find ourselves running not toward a destination, but away from the one companion we can never escape: ourselves. Michel de Montaigne, the 16th century philosopher, saw this flight as the loneliest journey of all. His wisdom, though centuries old, cuts through the noise of our time with startling clarity. In an era defined by connection yet plagued by isolation, Montaigne's call to embrace solitude, confront our inner storms, and live authentically is not just relevant, it is revolutionary. This essay embarks on a deep exploration of his philosophy, weaving together the threads of loneliness, self-discovery, death, and simplicity to uncover the path to true freedom. It is a journey inward where the silence we fear becomes the crucible for a life of meaning, courage, and unshakable peace. The loneliness within, running from the mirror. Have you ever paused in the midst of life's chaos to ask, where am I going? Why, despite having everything, friends, achievements, comforts, does a quiet ache persist? Montaigne posed these questions long before our time, observing that humanity's greatest struggle is not with the external world, but with the tempest within. In his era, distractions were fewer, yet people already sought refuge in busyness, fleeing the discomfort of self-reflection. If he were to witness the 21st century, Montaigne might marvel at our ingenuity and avoidance. Smartphones, social media, endless streaming. These are our modern shields against the silence where our true selves reside. We call it coping when we scroll through feeds to numb loneliness, bury ourselves in work to dodge anxiety, or chase fleeting pleasures to fill the void. But Montaigne saw this for what it is, running away from ourselves. He believed most of us are outward-facing, not out of love for the world, but out of fear of the emptiness within. We fill our lives with noise, conversations, images, acts, to drown out the terrifying quiet where we must face the person in the mirror. This is the paradox of our age. We are surrounded by people yet feel profoundly alone, speaking endlessly but rarely listening, smiling by day only to wrestle with unrest by night. Montaigne's insight is both a diagnosis and a challenge. Busyness, he argued, is not a sign of productivity, but a symptom of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of hearing our inner voice, fear of confronting wounds that remain unhealed. In our rush to stay occupied, we blame external circumstances, our children, relationships, society, for our discontent. Yet the true source lies within. We cannot bear the emptiness, so we refuse to fill it with truth. This refusal keeps us tethered to a cycle of distraction, where we mistake motion for progress and connection for intimacy. The solution, Montaigne suggests, is deceptively simple yet profoundly difficult. Stop running. Turn inward. Sit with yourself, even for a few minutes each day. This act, which he called the sacred pause, is where transformation begins. It is not a retreat from life, but a courageous step toward it. In solitude, the inner voices grow louder. Old pains, unanswered questions, buried emotions. But it is precisely in facing these discomforts that we begin to heal. We cannot change what we refuse to acknowledge, and we cannot grow until we are willing to meet ourselves with honesty. The cruelest suffering, the mind's interpretation. If loneliness is the journey we avoid, suffering is the terrain we must navigate. Montaigne did not deny the external tragedies of life, war, loss, betrayal, But he recognized that the cruelest pain often originates within the human mind. The worst things in life don't come from the events themselves, he wrote, but from the way we think about them. This insight, centuries ahead of its time, aligns with modern psychology's understanding of cognitive distortion. It is not the situation that torments us, but our interpretation of it. Consider the variance in human experience. Some find peace amid adversity, their inner calm unshaken by external storms. Others, with wealth and status, remain restless, plagued by anxiety. The difference lies not in luck or circumstance, but in the ability to navigate one's inner world. Montaigne himself faced a moment of crisis, believing he was near death. Rather than succumbing to panic, he chose to observe his fear as if from a distance, a practice we now call mindfulness. This detachment allowed him to see that while he could not control what happened, he could control how he responded. This perspective is liberating yet challenging. It asks us to take responsibility for our suffering, to recognize that our thoughts, not our circumstances, are often the true source of our pain. In a world that glorifies external solutions, more money, better relationships, higher status, Montaigne's wisdom is a quiet rebellion. Peace, he argued, comes not from eliminating suffering, but from accepting it as part of the human condition. To chase a life without pain is to chase an illusion, one that leaves us frozen in place, unable to grow. Modern society, with its emphasis on safety and comfort, often encourages this frozen existence. We seek to avoid risk, suppress intense emotions, and sidestep uncomfortable truths. The result is a generation grappling with anxiety, depression, and a desperate hunger for connection, all while feeling emotionally isolated. Montaigne's question cuts through this fog. Why do some break under suffering while others grow? His answer is clear. The difference lies in an honest dialogue with oneself. Not self-blame or self-pity, but the kind of compassionate listening we would offer a dear friend. Befriending the self, the path to inner peace, at the heart of Montaigne's philosophy is a radical idea. We cannot befriend life until we befriend ourselves. This begins with self-acceptance, a concept that feels revolutionary in a world obsessed with perfection. Montaigne was unafraid to reveal his flaws, his laziness, insecurities, anxieties, laying bare the messy humanity that made him relatable. "I am me," he declared, "an imperfect, contradictory human being, and I accept that." In an age of curated social media personas, his raw honesty is a splash of cool water in a desert of pretense. Self-acceptance does not mean complacency, but a refusal to judge ourselves by impossible standards. Montaigne saw harsh self-judgment as a form of arrogance, a belief that we must always be right or perfect, placing ourselves above our humanity. This mindset breeds endless suffering as we punish ourselves for failures rather than learning from them. The healthier path he proposed is humility, not the kind that shrinks us, but the kind that embraces our complexity with compassion. We are not just our virtues, but also our broken pieces, past mistakes, and uncharted depths. This self-compassion is the foundation of inner peace. Instead of suppressing emotions like sadness or anger, Montaigne urged us to sit with them, to listen to their origins. A human being, he wrote, is like a garden with weeds and wild patches alongside blossoms and sunlight. Tending this garden requires patience, not force. We cannot yell at a garden to grow faster, nor can we prune ourselves into perfection overnight. By nurturing ourselves with consistency and care, we cultivate a life that feels authentic, not one dictated by external expectations. In practice, this means forgiving ourselves for being human. We are often kinder to others and to ourselves, holding ourselves to merciless standards that no one else would impose. Montaigne's call to self-forgiveness is an act of courage, a refusal to let past mistakes define us. It is in this forgiveness that we find the freedom to move forward, not as a better version of ourselves, but as a truer one. Death as a teacher. Living with intention. If solitude is the space for self-discovery, death is the lens that sharpens our focus. Montaigne did not shy away from mortality, but embraced it as a silent teacher. Learning how to die, he wrote, is learning how to live. This is not a call to morbidity, but to clarity. Our awareness of life's finitude strips away the trivial, revealing what truly matters. If you knew tomorrow was your last day, would you waste it on petty grudges, endless scrolling, or chasing status? Montaigne's question is a wake-up call, urging us to live each day as if it were worthy of being our last. Death to Montaigne was not an enemy, but a reminder of life's impermanence. Live as if death is watching, he wrote, not to threaten you, but to remind you that every passing hour is a privilege. In a world of comforts and conveniences, it is easy to believe we are invincible, delaying dreams and suppressing truths with the illusion of endless tomorrows. But death waits for no one. By contemplating our mortality, we break free from this illusion, choosing to live with intention rather than drifting through life half awake. This perspective transforms how we approach our days. Montaigne did not advocate reckless living, but a quiet, deliberate presence. Each moment becomes a chance to express gratitude, to mend relationships, to pursue what sets our soul alight. Death renders fame, wealth, and arguments insignificant, returning us to our essence. It asks, are you living your truth or the life others expect? If the answer is no, it is not a tragedy, but an opportunity to begin anew. The fear of death, Montaigne believed, is an invisible chain keeping us timid and obedient to societal norms. When we lose this fear, we gain the courage to live boldly, unswayed by the need for approval. He did not suggest loving death, but seeing it as a natural part of life, like sunrise and sunset. In one of his most poignant reflections, he described death as an honest friend, quietly reminding us that life is not a race but a meaningful journey. To live as if ready to say goodbye is to practice mindful living, cherishing each moment with the weight it deserves. Solitude. The art of a free soul. Solitude for Montaigne was not loneliness but liberation, a return to the quiet of the soul. In a world that equates being alone with abandonment, he redefined solitude as a choice, a space to reconnect with oneself. Solitude is not the absence of others, he insisted, but the fullness of the self. It is the moment we step away from societal expectations, free from the need to perform or please, and allow ourselves to simply be. This solitude is not escapism, but a profound dialogue with the self. In its silence, we explore our thoughts, emotions, and desires, uncovering what we truly long for. It is a test of maturity, revealing who we are when no one is watching. For Montaigne, a nobleman who could have chased power, choosing solitude was a dignified act of rebellion. He withdrew from the noise of public life, finding richness in books, reflection, and the simple act of doing nothing. In today's hyper-connected world, solitude is a radical act. We are bombarded with demands to be seen, to achieve, to conform. Yet Montaigne's solitude offers freedom from these pressures. It is a space where we no longer need to explain our choices, where we can live truthfully without air of judgment. This is not isolation, but sovereignty, a grounded clarity that allows us to face the world on our own terms. Solitude also sharpens our relationships. By stepping away from external validation, we gain the clarity to see which connections matter and which are superficial. Healthy relationships, Montaigne believed, are built on mutual respect and individual freedom, not dependency. In solitude, we learn to love ourselves, which in turn allows us to love others authentically, without clinging or needing to prove our worth. Loneliness is fertile ground. Loneliness, often feared as emptiness, is a fertile ground for growth. Far from a void, it is a space where we confront suppressed emotions, rekindle forgotten dreams, and redefine our purpose. Montaigne saw loneliness not as deprivation, but as an opportunity to return to our roots, to listen to the inner voices we've long ignored. In its quiet, we ask, what do I truly want? Who am I living for? These questions, though uncomfortable, open the door to a deeper understanding of ourselves. Loneliness is also a crucible for creativity. Without the distractions of society, our minds are free to wander, to explore new ideas and perspectives. Many of history's greatest works, art, literature, music, were born in moments of solitude, where creators found their unique voice. In loneliness, we view the world through our own lens, unswayed by external pressures. This creative freedom allows us to express our deepest truths, whether through a painting, a poem, or a quiet act of self-reinvention. Moreover, loneliness teaches us to self-regulate. Without external distractions, we confront negative emotions, fear, sadness, anxiety, and learn to accept them rather than resist. This process reduces stress and builds emotional resilience, enabling us to navigate life's challenges with greater calm. Loneliness also fosters independence, freeing us from the need for others' approval. We learn to find joy within ourselves, to stand strong on our own, unburdened by societal expectations. The healing power of a solitude. Beyond growth, solitude is a space for healing. In the absence of external noise, we can process unresolved emotions, from past traumas to lingering grief. Montaigne believed that confronting these feelings, rather than avoiding them, is the first step toward recovery. Loneliness provides the stillness to reassess our past, to forgive ourselves and others, and to reclaim our inner strength. This healing is not about escaping the world, but about reconnecting with ourselves. In solitude, we learn to love our imperfections, to see our value not in external achievements, but in our inherent worth. This self-love is transformative, shifting how we approach life and relationships. When we no longer seek validation from others, we build connections based on mutual respect, not neediness. We become a source of strength for ourselves and those we love. Solitude also connects us to the broader world. Montaigne found solace in nature, where the simplicity of a breeze or a drifting cloud restored balance. In our fast-paced lives, stepping into nature's quiet embrace is a reminder of life's impermanence and beauty. It is a chance to breathe deeply, to feel part of something vast and eternal, and to find peace in the present moment. Simplicity, the art of knowing enough. Montaigne's philosophy of simplicity is a counterpoint to our culture of endless striving. As a nobleman, he had access to wealth and influence. Yet he chose a quieter path, finding joy in small moments, reading, writing, savoring a glass of wine. We flee from ourselves, he wrote, while trying to fill our lives with things outside us. But everything we need has always been within. And this insight challenges the modern obsession with more. More success, more beauty, more recognition. Simplicity, for Montaigne, was not defeat but clarity. It is the art of knowing what is enough, of curating a life that nourishes rather than exhausts. In a society that glorifies speed and achievement, choosing to slow down is an act of courage. It requires rejecting the trap of endless striving, where we chase bigger, better, and further, only to lose ourselves in the process. True joy, Montaigne taught, is not loud or fleeting, but a quiet satisfaction found in everyday moments. This simplicity extends to our inner world. By letting go of impossible standards and external expectations, we free ourselves to live authentically. Montaigne's line, "I'd rather watch a tree than chase after a castle," captures this ethos. A tree offers peace. A castle brings chaos. In choosing less, we feel more. In slowing down, we see clearly. Simplicity is not mediocrity, but a refined art, a declaration of inner freedom. Living in harmony, embracing contradictions. Montaigne's philosophy is not just about the self, but about how we relate to others. How can we live in harmony with others, he asked, when we ourselves are full of contradictions? His answer lies in self-acceptance. By embracing our own complexity, our flaws, contradictions, and imperfections, we develop the empathy to accept others. Montaigne was a pioneer of humanism, listening to differences rather than judging them. "I may not agree with your way of life," he wrote, "but I respect the journey that brought you there." This empathy is not weakness but intelligence, a recognition that every person carries a story we cannot fully see. In a world quick to criticize, Montaigne's call to listen is a balm. Harmony does not mean erasing conflict, but living with it gently, choosing understanding over the need to be right. Sometimes, he noted, letting a friend win an argument preserves the relationship, a mark of emotional maturity. Our inner peace shapes our outer world. When we are at war with ourselves, we project that turmoil onto others, seeing flaws we cannot accept in ourselves. By making peace with our contradictions, we see the world with clearer eyes, fostering connections built on compassion rather than projection. This is the foundation of true harmony, not sameness, but the beauty of difference embraced with an open heart. The freedom of loneliness. Ultimately, loneliness is not a state to fear, but a journey to embrace. It is a process of self-discovery, healing, and spiritual growth. In its silence, we confront our deepest fears, reconnect with our purpose, and rediscover our inner strength. Loneliness is not emptiness, but a space for rebirth, where we shed the masks of society and step into our authentic selves. This journey is not without challenges. Facing ourselves requires courage as we encounter resistance, pain, and the temptation to flee back to distraction. But the rewards are profound. In loneliness, we find creative freedom, emotional resilience, and the clarity to live intentionally. We learn to love ourselves, to forgive our past, and to build relationships grounded in mutual respect. We connect with nature, with the universe, and with the impermanence of life, finding peace in the present moment. Montaigne's wisdom is a guide for our time, a reminder that true freedom lies not in escaping loneliness, but in making peace with it. To be alone without fear is to be sovereign, to live without needing to prove anything. It is to stand strong in our truth, unswayed by external pressures. Loneliness is not the enemy, but a companion, a teacher, a key to unlocking the life we were meant to live. Conclusion: the courage to be true in a world that pulls us outward. Montaigne's philosophy is an invitation to come home to ourselves. Loneliness, solitude, and self-reflection are not burdens but gifts, offering the chance to heal, grow, and live authentically. They teach us to embrace our imperfections, to find peace in suffering, to live with the awareness of death, and to choose simplicity over chaos. They show us that harmony with others begins with harmony within, and that true freedom is the courage to be ourselves, unapologetically. So, pause. Step into the silence. Let loneliness be your guide, not your foe. In its depths, you will find not just yourself, but a life unbound, vibrant with meaning and wholly your own. The journey is not easy, but it is the only path to a life of truth, freedom, and unshakable peace. As Montaigne reminds us, no one can live your life for you. The question is, are you ready to live it?